All right, welcome to Tech Talk Live. It's Tuesday, April 22nd, 6 p.m. here in Los Angeles.
And 9 p.m. here in the DMV. I'm Samuel Giacinto.
And I'm Jack Armstrong. Welcome to the show. Tech Talk Live is brought to you by BeforeSunset.ai. BeforeSunset.ai is your AI productivity superhero. Use code TechTalkLive for 3 months free and manage your to-do list with style. So, lots of AI stuff today, and Gemini, honestly, is being really useful. I'm loving the deep research feature. Have you tried it, Sam?
I actually did with 1.5. I'm sure they've updated it now. I think 2.5 is out. But yeah, it creates like a 2 to 3 page Google Doc with, essentially 30 to 50 sources on any topic you can imagine. I mean, they may have added more features. I don't know. I mean, I used it maybe 2 weeks ago.
Well, so it's a really useful tool. I mean, look, the old internet user would have to Google like tenant rights in Los Angeles, and you'd have to go to a million websites. And now you can explain in detail your request. And if you're using deep research, so I was using 2.5 Pro deep research. I think it scraped like 50 websites and analyzed it, gave me a full report just because I was curious. I'm like, just as a test. Also, I live in Los Angeles and I want to know my rights as a renter who lives in an apartment. And so I thought it would be a really useful test and something, that I would enjoy reading the report. So, it's fascinating because I think as AI becomes more and more useful and powerful, it really, this is a perfect example of something that saved me so much time reading a report that's tailored to my specific request. And I thought it was really, really good. Did a good job.
Well, and what's interesting is that a lot of people charge a lot of money for this kind of service, right? You have a specific topic, and you essentially need to do some sort of background, or to quote The Office, a rundown of the of the topic. And this is something where previously this type of research would take a professional, perhaps an hour or two, and cost you several $100s. I mean, this basically allows you to have a very deep summary into a topic of your choosing in basically 5 minutes, and you're able to really perform other tasks while you're doing it. So I think it's there's quite a lot of value in sort of these multi-page kind of summary documents about really anything you want. You can kind of create a similar prompt of what you would ask AI really for anything, but perhaps it would be more something like a system architecture or something you would want to do an extensive amount of research or searching on, beyond a single prompt. And it's able to do that with remarkable accuracy. I mean, and all the sources are cited too, which is kind of the citations are huge because you're able to kind of read and expand on, essentially the entire, your entire conversation with it.
Absolutely. Well, so also it's interesting with Google's podcast creator. I mean, of course, we started using video here on Tech Talk Live because we want to prove that we're real humans. Even though it would be a lot more difficult if we really made avatars of ourselves, and we could also do that. But I think it's more about authenticity, right? I mean, like, I think if you're a researcher, you're obviously encouraged, I'm sure, to use these tools to save you time. However, I think we're now to a stage where validating the sources, validating the claims, and putting our human touch onto things is so important because nobody wants to listen to the is it called LM Studio, the podcast? I'm spacing on the name of it. The podcast creator, the Google, they're honestly kind of killing
Oh,
it. Like
no, no, Notebook LM. Yeah.
Notebook LM. Sorry, LM, large language model LM. Okay, so yes, Notebook LM. I think they're not really incorporating this into Gemini, but they're not really. I think the hype has died down with Notebook LM, and I don't know. Like it's a powerful tool, but it's essentially doing the same thing, really. You know, researching a topic, citing sources in a conversational style, creating an audio format you can listen to based on the topic. But yeah, um, lots
Well,
of lots.
I will say, I mean, Notebook LM is useful in that you can have two people talk about anything. The driest report you could ever find, nobody would reasonably want to talk about it. But it's really quite interesting to plug something into Notebook LM and essentially have it generate an hour-long podcast on it. Um, so I will say, I
Well,
mean, you haven't heard a lot about it, but I do. I mean, it has been somewhat useful for studying large groups of PDFs that no one else would potentially ever want to read or summarize.
that's true. So it's giving well, but there are a lot of tools that can just summarize PDFs. But I mean, look, are we to the point like I think we're in a very interesting fork in the road because like with so much AI content just regurgitating what's already out there, yet there are AI models that are reasoning new thoughts. It's quite fascinating because you've heard before, I don't, if you're not going to write it, why is it worth my time? If it's not worth your time writing that content, why is it worth my time reading that content? But also, there's AI checkers. Those checkers can be bypassed with a humanizer. I mean, we're in a really interesting shift here. It's like what is real, what is not. I mean, we see this online now. Some AI is starting to look so good. Some generative video is starting to look so refined. It's almost a little scary.
Well, and that's, I mean, I guess at least in Google's perspective, I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about, I guess, their new models. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to use Gemini 2.5. Is that
Yeah.
is that right now? Let's see. I'll have to try
Yeah.
Gemini Advanced. I have to resubscribe now.
It's Gemini 2.5. Pro.
2.5 Pro.
Deep
Okay.
research. I've been trying 2.5 Pro Deep Research. Let me pull this up for our listeners who are watching on YouTube or our website, the video format. If you'd like, this is just a quick little overview here of what okay. So it should be loading up here on the stream. So this is the report that I was making. So you do have to prompt enough, but it's fascinating here because you can see here with past requests, and
Oh,
then you can see
interesting.
here now. So I want a full report, so you can see what I prompted it, and then it basically is it's researching a zip code, it's researching, rights, and then it's exporting this whole document. And so It's basically giving me a very personalized legal. It's giving me like legal guidance. Like here, look, even right here, it's citing the repair and deduct California Civil Code. I mean, look at this. Like it's literally finding, I mean, and it's putting it in excellent in an excellent structure here. And I mean, there is kind of a table of contents. You would have to kind of add that yourself, but it's even creating here like little tables and citing the sources. So this with Deep Research 2.5 Pro. 2.5. I heard that 2.5 Flash does not seem like a significant improvement, but yeah, no, look right here, comply with mandatory. So this is where it's citing right here. So it's looked at these three sources. These are government sources, and it's citing all of this. So really, really impressive, very high quality, and I think it's so Deep Research really to me. I'm going to stop the page here. Deep
No,
Research,
that's
I think, really it's investigating 100 sources, where before maybe it would only do 10 or 20. So it's doing it in 5 minutes or less. So it's really impressive.
and this kind of is tangentially related, right, to something we talked about a few weeks back, where a vast majority of the web traffic, you kind of mentioned it's searching 100 sources, right? And
Yeah.
so, to be quite honest, like I'd probably give up manually searching after five, so 95% of, I would find, probably the California code and then a few other websites and just kind of read those and not really have maybe as comprehensive as of a summary. But I think, going back to where you had open source projects where 95% of web traffic plus was from AI crawlers and AI bots. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just curious in general, how much web traffic really is, even further segueing back, dead internet theory of, how many, bots are viewing your website, to essentially relay some sort of summary back to a human. It's really, no humans really reading your website anymore. It's
Well, and
kind of
also,
plain
it's
back.
it's worth noting too. I can chat with it. If I have a follow-up question, I don't have to call a lawyer, or I don't have to make a Google search. It really is. It's accurately citing based on my queries. I mean, and I could be chatting with it. Oh, well, what about if this happened? Or what about if this? Or what about if that? And it's giving me my rights as a tenant. For example, I mean, there's so many other use cases, but it's so powerful. It doesn't just create the document. It doesn't just cite all the sources. You can keep chatting with it, and it's going to investigate a specific case that it didn't discover on its own. You know, so it's like ChatGPT. It is, of course, but it's a large language model with extra capabilities. It's pretty impressive.
And that's yeah, I mean, it's honestly impressive because when I used deep research, it was actually quite different, even though it was only 2 weeks ago. So I'm thinking about trying it again to kind of see what we could possibly get out of it. Um,
Cool. And we've
but
also tried in the past Perplexity. Don't forget, Perplexity is building their application with very similar capabilities. I did not find in the past, I don't think it evolved as quickly as I needed. So I don't pay for that anymore. But I feel like, or actually, I got a free year with the Rabbit. if you guys have been listening to the show for a long time. But Perplexity, they were developing, which we should follow up on this. All those websites that are now getting scraped with AI are not really getting credited. And so I think we have it's difficult with websites, these days, being their knowledge is being extracted by AI bots, as you said, without really much value. I mean, it's just they're kind of exploiting them for their knowledge without really compensating the ad revenue or anything. So it's a kind of a sad situation if you run a blog or something, you know. So Perplexity was developing a system that would compensate for clicks and mentions in AI in their responses and in their research. But we should follow up with that because I haven't heard anything in the news. And I do stay tuned to Perplexity, but yeah, it was pretty fascinating. So, but Apple Intelligence also has more delays. We have to talk about this.
Well, I wish there was more to talk about, right? But it's delayed again. Again.
Which doesn't
Um,
look good for Apple here. Really doesn't.
well, and kind of digging into this a bit more, right? So this, perhaps was the most anticipated feature, right? The more personalized and powerful Siri. So we've been dealing with Siri since the iPhone 4S back in 2011, with minor improvements. So Siri is old enough to basically drive a car at this point, more or less. And it hasn't been significantly improved.
Yeah.
So, essentially, Siri was supposed to arrive with iOS 18.4. That came and went last month, pushed to iOS 18.5. And now it's basically saying, well, it will arrive sometime this year, or perhaps in a 2026 update. So we're talking about on-screen awareness, personal context, app intents. These are some of those anticipated Apple Intelligence features. So understanding what's on your screen, add this person to my contacts, or check my messages for X, or who did I have a meeting with last week? Stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
so
So they focus a lot, as we always talk about, on privacy, and I feel like we did a good explanation, a little bit of a brief overview on how Apple is taking AI and breaking it up so that they don't really identify you specifically as the user making the request, but they know enough about you to personalize the results. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that actually goes. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we're to a point now where AI, you know, we I don't think we're almost there yet. I think it's disappointing because Apple sold the iPhone 16, marketing it that there will be AI that can do this, but you know, it looks like they haven't quite figured it out yet. So yeah, that's not good. And I think a lot of companies are also fearing the resources. I mean, we saw Meta, with in training their llama models. I think it's fascinating because they're asking Amazon and other companies to help pay for some of those costs. So we've got Meta, a huge company, already kind of worried a little bit about the training costs. And so, you know, is Apple in the same boat with how are they going to do this without screwing it up? They don't want to have another Siri problem.
well, and kind of the catch-22, right? And we talked about this last week, is that Apple has kind of had a privacy focused approach to AI, and realistically, it's at the expense of just raw functionality. And I think, from a privacy perspective, as kind of nihilistic as it sounds, Americans don't particularly care about privacy. It's just not a priority really for a lot of people. Conveniences, so sort of having that, again, like Facebook can have all my data, but it's relatively convenient, to, have an AI that does something, so it's more so of, we'd rather have the functionality than necessarily the privacy. And I don't, and Apple has kind of marketed on the privacy, and obviously trust is, something that, you can't really, have something like that and take it away, but also at the same time, I mean, they're falling hopelessly behind in this. And I'm sitting here on their website, basically it's like, you can go to their homepage right now and it still says built for Apple Intelligence. They're still pushing and peddling this crap when, again, like half of it just doesn't even work. Doesn't even work. Like, here's the disclaimer. I mean, at the bottom of the page, it's like number 2 for the disclaimer. What are they like? What are they going to say?
Yeah.
There's 20 disclaimers at the bottom of the page. Apple Intelligence is available in beta on all iPhone 16 models, iPhone 15 Pro, and iPhone 15 Pro Max, with Siri and device language set to English, Chinese, French, German. And with more languages, some features may not be available in all regions or languages. So that's the disclaimer. They say built for Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
And they say it's available in beta. But meanwhile, 3 of the most, this is today, and I'm going, this is why it's like these guys they deserve to get sued, because it's like they're honestly still advertising this stuff in, glowy font, size 50 font, like right on the front of the page. And then there's the only asterisk component is like some features may not be available in all languages or regions. It's like, well, how about 3 of the most anticipated features? 3 of the features that, have the most wow factor. Like that's a little, now whether they'll actually be punished for it, who knows? But I just think it is like, it's a little rich, for these guys to be saying, well, it's built for something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No,
it's a little disappointing. No, it's really disappointing. I mean, this is coming from Apple. I mean, come on, like the largest company in the world almost.
$3 trillion and zero AI. This is like
it's crazy.
Just buy OpenAI. I mean, just anything. I mean, I don't know what these guys are really sitting around. I mean, it's like, Llama is open source. I mean, just, it's like, how many guys are you paying? I mean, it's like, are they hiring AI engineers? Like, what are they doing? I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, and it's easy to sit here and be kind of an armchair executive, but it's also like, this, quite literally is one of those valuable companies in the world, and you would expect, they have some sort of idea of like what they're doing. And I don't know if it's, again, like the focus on privacy. I don't know if it's a, focus on, I don't really particularly know what, what's.
Yeah. Does it feel like they are afraid to spend money to develop this? Because you would think they would have. You need to deliver these features.
Well, ultimately,
like,
yeah.
At some point,
at
you
some
do.
point, right?
Right? Yeah.
And I mean, they are seemingly hiring for it. Um, I don't know what the heck these guys are up to. Honestly, I mean, it's
No,
just
but
sort of
like they haven't figured this. I
like they're
mean,
not.
look, they're also bringing in jobs of subscription revenue. So it's crazy. I mean, yeah, Apple should get this together. I mean, really, like they scrapped the car project, you know? Wow, I was looking forward to an Apple car.
Well, yeah, that was a
Doesn't
big
that
failure,
sound
right?
like wow? I mean, you spend so much money on that. I mean, maybe they are trying to be more careful, but we need more AI development here. Like they really do. They need this.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's they have a lot of money, right? I mean, the thing is, like, it's not. I don't know if this is an example of perhaps Tim Cook being a little bit too cautious with how or what he's operating with. It's really it's difficult to say. It really is. I don't know what I think it's perhaps the focus on privacy, because that adds a layer of development to essentially every, because Apple has to, functionally, they have to kind of build in things that, like, quite honestly, Google doesn't care about. I mean, they don't care about your
Yeah,
data. I mean, they're just gonna, develop the AI.
yeah,
Um, and it's sort of, what's really kind of crazy is, like, that could be the downfall of Apple's, and kudos to them for kind of holding on to that value. But it's also at the same time, we can't sit here and pretend that Apple still uses your data internally to do things with, but they just simply don't provide it to third parties. I mean, that's the major difference. It's not like they're sitting there being
yeah.
completely, you know, I mean, unless I'm kind of misunderstanding it. But I mean, the issue is, it's just sort of like,
Well, they yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of resources, and I think I get what you're putting at. So if you're asking Siri your requests, do they see the topic of your request? That's what you're thinking or you're asking about.
well, I mean, I guess for me, it's like, Apple has privacy as sort of a company value.
Yeah,
But it's, again, it's, this isn't, that doesn't mean they don't use your data for nothing. They just don't sell it to anybody.
yeah.
Um,
But they should at least use it to improve their their stuff, you know? Right?
well, and that's, I mean, ultimately, yeah, that's what they're up to, right? Um, and that's what every company's up to. Um, but it's more of a matter of, like, well, can Apple use? It's not like they have a shortage of internal data either. I just don't know, like, what, because it's not like these guys are, like, I don't think the privacy has been dialed to a point where it's going to impact their own product development.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have the right to use your data however they want, whenever they want, as long as it's internal to the company. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, that should be more than enough for AI. I mean, 80% of users under the age of 30 essentially use an iPhone. There's no shortage of just random data that they've been collecting and using.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just kind of difficult to understand to really kind of, I mean, and I think this is kind of why a lot of the pundits and um, and whatnot is also having a you know hard time trying to explain what the heck's going on, because it's just like it does not functionally make any sense. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it's just like, sorry, Apple, but like, you know, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just disappointing.
Yeah.
But for
No, I
something,
mean, you would expect,
a little less disappointing, unless you have a final thought.
I think, it is funny. Their focus. So I live in Hollywood. I just saw them the other day filming The Studio, the new Apple TV show. And it's good to see film production in Hollywood, but I do have to say they're focusing a lot on their services, their subscription revenue, TV, fitness. I mean, Apple's becoming this ginormous company, now media giant. Now, I mean, products from Apple Watch to the iPhone to the Mac to it's becoming, I mean, I can see why AI is a priority for them, but also they've got a million other products. I mean, Apple TV, you finally have Severance, Ted Lasso that's done really well. That's in the media space, content creation space. And they do focus on quality, and it is cool to see shows filming on the streets here if you come to visit LA. But I mean, they really have got their hands. You would expect more from them, and I just hope they can get it together. I hope they can get it together, and I hope it will be worth the wait. And yeah, don't buy a new iPhone anytime soon if you're getting it for AI. That's for sure.
Well, buy it for the camera. I mean, don't, I don't know.
Don't, yeah, maybe
Because
buy it for the.
honestly, Deep Fusion came out. I don't know if you remember from the iPhone 10. Deep Fusion was coming soon, so after a year and a half, that finally came out. So you'll at least get that now. Um, but
Yeah.
if you really kind of look back, Apple has kind of had a history of over promising and under delivering, and honestly, who hasn't?
Yeah.
Um, like, who really hasn't? So that's, enough about Apple. We've talked about Apple way too long on this podcast. They really didn't deserve the time, but we have to get to this topic because I just think it's perhaps, well, it's definitely intriguing and perhaps a little bit frightening. But IRL AI life hacks. So you may have heard about the student from Colombia who was virally kicked out of school for essentially developing an AI that you can use to, let's just say, assist yourself on a job interview for software engineers. So Chungin Roy Lee has raised $5.3 million for his startup Cluey that offers an AI tool to cheat on everything.
This is crazy.
Kind of interesting. I mean, so yeah, did you watch the video? So he posted a video on X, sort of a hypothetical first date environment. I don't know. Did you see?
I haven't. I was so busy today. I did not get the chance yet, but
Well, no
yeah,
worries. We
tell us about
can
it.
we can summarize. I mean, so basically, he's on a first date, and sort of via smart glasses, visible only to him, via audio and visual. he's able to, essentially suggest responses, answer her questions in real time with a proper, based on her profile, very much kind of automating the emotional intimacy, and it's really quite polarizing. And basically, it seems like the general sentiment is people are praising kind of the ingenuity of the ad. It certainly caught a lot of people's attention, while others kind of derided it as reminiscent of Black Mirror, kind of a sci-fi dystopian television show on Netflix, not affiliated, but just kind of highlighting the dark side of AI. And it's it's quite crazy because in a way, Roy kind of seems unapologetically, basically unapologetically, believing.
Well, he's using it. Isn't he? So you were playing this earlier, and I heard he was. It sounded like he was guided. He was being guided by this, right? And using it like to twist the situation ever in his favor, right? Am I getting kind of the picture, the gist of it a little bit? Where
No,
he's
I mean that's
asking, or
very
she's
valid.
saying, "Oh,
Um,
you don't look young. Oh, I know I look a little young. I lie about my age sometimes, but it's only because of this reason." And then he compassionately tries to explain why it's okay to lie about his age in a little bit of a way, right?
no, I mean that's a succinct summary. I mean, he honestly kind of, it is somewhat emotionally manipulative, but the AI is able to pull up her artwork and sort of complement her appearance and complement her work and her livelihood, in a way that's kind of, at best, perhaps desperate, and at worst, maybe a little emotionally manipulative. Um, and that's honestly what has people kind of, you know, claiming that, hey, this is cheating. Like, you really shouldn't be able to build a foundational relationship on what really kind of is just a piece of technology that, I mean, you're automating thought out of your relationships now. I mean, this could be your partner. I mean, like, ultimately, like, unless you're, into polygamy, I mean, you're basically searching for somebody to spend the rest of your life with. But now we can sort of offload that right onto some AI, and but the foundation of that relationship is, going to be from a startup in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But they're being rather unapologetic about it. They're saying that they call calculators cheating. They called Google cheating. And they called, they basically believe that the world will say the same thing about AI, and that they're not going to be stopping. Um,
Yeah.
so that's, so he's kind of, uh, you know, unapologetically, um,
He's like using technology just with any excuse, it sounds like,
it's,
right?
I mean, it's,
Sort of.
it's the most charitable kind of, uh, it's the most charitable use of AI, right? That we've kind of seen. It's like, well, we'll never be able to think, um, you know, think alone.
Yeah.
So we might as well just think with AI at all times. Um,
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of where we're getting at. I mean, I think if you're a student these days, I would love to know how you're using AI to do your homework. I mean, like, are you learning the concepts yourself? Promoting. And whoa, did it cut out there?
Yeah, you're.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you kind of. There was a few moments there.
So kids these days are smart, right? They're already using AI. They're on social media. I mean, like, if you're a student these days, I mean, are you already like cheating on your homework? But like, also, what you just need help, and AI can help you, you know? So it's weird. Like, I think technology is a powerful tool. AI can be used for good, but do we need it at all times? I don't know.
Well, depends who you ask.
Yeah, I know. So it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. I feel like, we've seen essay writers, right? And then, of course, Turnitin, which is a plagiarism checker. Now, I guess Turnitin seems like it has more these days just turned into an AI checker. Is this AI? But AI is kind of plagiarism in a way, right? Like, it can only help you so much to research, cite sources, and do writing. So it's an interesting time we live in.
Well, and it's. I mean, it is kind of strange because it capitalizes on the human desire to. You want to be. Like at the top of your game. You want to be. You know, it's. I mean, it's just quite interesting because um because people have a strong desire to make it in life, and he's basically kind of selling the golden ticket, um whatever, whatever it takes to kind of get people to, essentially do, to get where they need to, including purchasing a, interview coder, cheating startup.
Yeah. I mean, can AI really solve all of our problems? I mean, come on. You need to live your life and think for yourself sometimes. So, I don't know.
Well, and that's, I mean, again, it's almost, with this and everything else as well, we're almost kind of on the precipice of something, further. It feels like in some ways, because
Yeah.
when you have relationships or friendships that are built, perhaps entirely off of, an AI model responding to you, it's like, are we just going to have, AI models respond to AI models, and then that's kind of going to be like, oh, we you know we can be friends because our AI models liked each other.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
well, that's cool.
Did I tell you, Sam, did I tell you, I've got that voicemail system. Did I tell you they also have me on a sales list too?
Oh, really?
Mistakenly? Somehow, yeah. They must have my other, I don't know. Anyway, they have me on a sales list, and it's exactly what you're saying. I set up this AI voicemail robot that takes my calls if I'm not available and
And
basically just says, "Hi, how can I help you?" And obviously, that number is not saved in my phone. I don't really want those calls. And it's is really fascinating because it's an outbound sales agent that's using AI. And yes, I did sign up with the company. Don't get me wrong. Like I definitely, but they also have me on a sales list, not fully realizing, don't worry, I'm a customer now. I have an account with you. Don't worry. So their robot, I think like once a week, calls my robot. And it's really interesting playing the recordings because it's exactly what you're saying. Their sales robot's calling my sales robot. And like, I'm not saying in the future your friends are going to have robots calling their friends to
Yeah.
check in, but isn't this an interesting world we live in?
I mean, well, that's one way to put it, right?
It's,
Um, Dang. No, I mean it's a little dystopian,
yeah,
right? I mean, come on, like so we're gonna
little
have
dystopian.
basically multiple robots talking to each other, back
Yeah,
and forth, right? So I don't know. So
scary. It is scary.
I don't know. As always, we'll just have to see how all this stuff works itself out. Oh
I
my god.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a bunch of.
robots taking over. Well, also figure AI. Do we remember this company? Oh my God, those robots can actually uh put your groceries away. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I mean, honestly, I'll believe, all these, it's like all these humanoid robots. It's like I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
honestly,
mean,
it's
yeah,
like
the demos online. It's
when you can
definitely
when you can
interesting.
buy one of these things that aren't just like kind of just pie in the sky. I mean, it's just like, okay, like again, like I'll believe it when these things are actually like I can go out and buy one.
I mean, yeah,
It's
for $50,000, maybe $100,000, would you do that? I mean, the crazy thing is if you're already paying a housekeeper, you probably would buy one. Like, this is something nobody's talking about, right? Like, you probably would buy one of these robots to do your, laundry around the house, to put stuff away, do your dishes, put your groceries in the fridge, you know, get that delivery, unbox it, put it where it needs to go, you know?
I don't know. I mean, I think what will honestly be is, um, we'll this will essentially. I mean, obviously, the first iteration is not going to be that great, right? And it's it's going to take a little while, for this this kind of stuff to be good enough to replace a person. I mean, honestly, I mean, just from a reaction and skill and just, I mean,
Yeah.
again, and I'll believe it when I see it. Right? They have all these cute robots, and it's like, well, when can you buy one to use? I mean, it's sort of like that seems to kind of be the crux of Tesla's humanoid robot, Figure's humanoid robot. The proof's in the pudding. Um,
Yeah.
so it's it's honestly we're just again just gonna have to see. I mean, it's just sort of like you can speculate, but
It's, honestly, it's crazy. I feel like if you already pay for services around the house, imagine if this thing could do your lawn work, your yard work, your dishes, your laundry, do your cleaning. I mean, like,
It's
I
scary.
do see it's gonna come. I mean, like, I know it right now. It's just demos or little Tesla robots at the, or, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
Tesla,
I
when
kind
the
of,
Tesla robot comes out.
I kind of think the figure ones look cooler, but
I mean, they
and
probably have a better chance of actually coming out, right? It's
I would hope so. Honestly, at this point, I think Tesla's a dying ship, slowly sinking. But who knows? With consumers really can vote with their wallet. So whichever company succeeds is also up to the consumers of the world. So, and also the product does have to speak for itself. The product does need to be good. If the robot doesn't work. So I'm really looking forward. Speaking, it's kind of tech related, but the second version of Megan is coming out. I don't know if you saw that movie last year.
oh
Megan
jeez.
1,
Was that the
Megan
one with
2.
Megan Fox in it? I don't.
Oh, I forget. Who is it? No, it's the movie is called,
Megan.
yeah, Megan. Megan 2. Megan 2.0 is that? I think that's what the movie's called. Is it 2.0? Yeah, Megan 2.0. I think comes out this summer.
2025
Let's see.
film. So it's like a.
June 27th.
It's kind of more of a
We got
Chucky
2 more
clone.
months. Yeah,
Honestly, it's just hard
we've
for me to
got
watch
two.
this crap because it's like, I mean, this is like this could happen. I mean, we're basically making sci-fi, like
Yep.
a few years before it actually happens. So it's just like I mean, I'll probably watch it.
I
Um,
I really liked it. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
I don't know if you saw Megan 1.
it's probably a fine movie. I'm not, it's just crazy to think about, stuff essentially being, it's just, yeah, it's nuts. I don't know.
The tech is here, and it's coming to life. I think that's what's scary about Megan. It's all of our tech fears, embodied into this robotic doll. But
Great.
also,
Yeah,
like, it
let's
could
go
be a
pay to
robot.
watch that.
It could be a robot. So anyway, Megan 2.0, definitely June 27th. I'm looking forward to that. Gotta go see it. That'll be a
Yeah,
fun movie
I mean, I don't know. You'll see it. You'll either see it in June or sometime next year, right? In real
when it
life,
comes out. Yeah, true. Yeah,
walking around the
if it
street.
comes out. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well,
Oh,
it's not even like a horror. I don't know. I guess it does kind of skew horror, but anyway, well, stay updated. Yeah, we're always here talking tech and updating. And don't forget, chat, join the conversation on X. We have our X account at tech_talk_live.
yeah. No, we're here every Tuesday until the robots take over. Um, again, 6-9 Pacific and Eastern, and
We're here.
hopefully we'll do everything we can to stop these. Well, I don't know, I mean, really stop these robots from taking it.
Taking over, taking our jobs, taking our lives. I know. Tech is good until it comes back to get us. Also, stay updated on our website, techlive.xyz. Join our mailing list. And we're here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
We will talk more tech very soon.